All right, let's jump right in. So we're talking about knife collecting. And look, this is way more than just, piling up a bunch of sharp things. It's really about diving headfirst into this incredible world, a place where history, art, and even personal stories are literally forged right into the steel.
Yeah, I mean, this quote just nails it, doesn't it? A collectible knife, it's not just a tool. Think of it more like a time capsule, something you can actually hold in your hand. It's a real physical piece of a much bigger story.
So let's get to the heart of it. What's the big deal? What is it about a simple blade that just captivates people? Why do we get so obsessed? Well, it really boils down to a few key things. First, there's that tactile connection, right? That satisfying click of a good lockback or just the way it feels balanced in your hand. Then you've got the thrill of the hunt, that feeling of being a detective, tracking down that one rare piece. And honestly, in a world where everything feels so disposable, holding something built to last, yeah, it feels like a quiet little rebellion. Okay, so we've got the passion, right? But how do you actually make sense of what makes one knife more valuable than another? We need a system. So let's break it down into what I call the 4 pillars of value. This is where we go from just loving knives to really understanding them. Pillar number 1 is rarity. It's classic supply and demand, right? I mean, a factory might pump out 50,000 of a certain model, but it's those super limited runs, maybe the first 40 prototypes of the Buck 110, that become absolute legends. And sometimes it's just a fluke of history, a factory fire, a lost shipment. Suddenly, something common becomes incredibly scarce, and poof, you've got a grail piece on your hands. Next up, pillar 2, the maker's reputation. And this is huge. See, you might buy the craftsmanship, but you really pay for the name. A legend like Bob Loveless, he wasn't just selling knives. He was selling his signature style. That iconic double-humped guard, that's his autograph, but written in steel. That recognized name is a guarantee. It's the story that elevates a simple tool into a piece of art. Okay, now this one is super cool. Pillar 3 is provenance. This isn't just the history of the model, it's the history of this specific knife. So, a US M3 trench knife. Yeah, that's interesting. But an M3 that's hand-etched with a paratrooper's service number from D-Day? Whoa. Now you've got a documented artifact. The story is literally carved into it, connecting it to a real person, a real moment in history. It's just incredible. And last but not least, pillar 4, the physical stuff. The materials and its condition. We're talking about the exact type of steel, the handle material, things like that super rare Westinghouse micarta. It all adds up. And here's a key thing. Good condition doesn't always mean mint in box. A lot of collectors actually love what they call honest miles, that beautiful dark patina on an old carbon steel blade that shows it lived a life but was cared for. That tells a story all its own. Okay, so we've got our 4 pillars. Now, where do you even start? I mean, the world of knives is massive. It's got all these different categories, these little universes, and each one has its own rules and its own hidden gems. So let's compare 2 of the biggest paths you can go down. On one hand, you have the vintage and antique stuff. Here, it's all about originality, history, that beautiful patina. You're thinking about things like old Sheffield Bowies. But then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you've got custom and art knives. These are pure, one-of-a-kind masterpieces. The value there is all about the skill and the unique vision of a single maker. And it doesn't stop there, of course. There are so many other cool areas to explore. You've got limited edition production knives, like Spyderco's Sprint Runs, which are basically designed to be collectible right out of the box. You've got military and tactical classics, knives that earn their reputation on the battlefield. And then, of course, the EDC legends, the everyday carry knives that were so good, so reliable, that they became absolute icons. Speaking of icons, let's look at some of the big ones. There are certain knives that are just foundational. They're the cornerstones of the whole collecting world. Honestly, knowing these is like knowing who Picasso or Monet is in the art world. They're that important. All right, let's start with 3 pocket knife titans. First, the American classic, the Buck 110. This is the knife that basically proved a folding knife could be as tough as a fixed blade with its revolutionary lockback. Then you have the French Opinel number 8. So simple, yet that Vero block locking collar is just genius. And then a modern legend, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, with its super innovative and incredibly safe compression lock. Each one of these is just a masterclass in functional design. Now let's switch gears to the military icons, and you have to start with the Ka-Bar. For generations, this beast has been the benchmark,
the yardstick that pretty much every other combat utility knife gets measured against. Its story is completely tied to the U.S. Marine Corps.
Then you have the Fairbairn Sykes, the FS knife. I mean, look at it. It's a stiletto that is pure, focused intent. This thing was designed for the British commandos during World War II, and its silhouette became the blueprint for special ops daggers all over the world. And from a different era, the Gerber Mark II, that distinctive, almost wasp-waisted shape, that came directly from feedback from soldiers in Vietnam. It's aggressive, it's iconic, and for a lot of people, it's the combat dagger of that time. And finally, we go back to World War I with a 1918 trench knife. This thing is just brutal. It's a dagger fused with brass knuckles. It's a perfect, chilling snapshot of a time when modern warfare crashed right into medieval-style close-quarters combat. So, after seeing all that, here's the big takeaway. Building a real collection, it's not just about buying stuff. It's about becoming a caretaker, a steward for these incredible objects and the stories they carry. And being a good steward really comes down to 3 things. Number 1, safe storage. You got to control the humidity and temperature to stop rust and decay. Number 2, careful cleaning and maintenance. Use the right stuff and go easy on the sharpening. Remember, every time you take steel off that edge, you're erasing a little bit of its history. And number 3, and this is crucial, documentation. Keep records, take photos, because a knife without its story is just a piece of metal. The records are what give it a legacy.
Because in the end, that's what a good collection is. It's not just a bunch of knives in a drawer. It's a timeline that you've personally curated. Each piece tells a part of a larger story. So I guess the real question to leave you with is, if you were to build a collection, what story would yours tell?